Welcome, everybody, to Football Discussion Daily. My name is Joe, and I'm here with the co-host,
EGO.
CGO, or George. Today is we were releasing this on the 31st of March at 7 a.m., and we're recording this a couple hours earlier. Today, in big news, Bernardo Silva announced that he is leaving Manchester City on a free at the end of the season. After 9 years, he has won a whole bunch of titles there. He was part of the 100-point season. He's one of 3 players still on the team from that 100-point season, the others being John Stones and Phil Foden. Got a couple sub appearances. I don't know if he really counts. Bernardo Silva also was a part of that Monaco team that raced the PSG and the League One the season before he joined. That was 2016-17. That was kind of Mbappe's intro season. That team also had Fabinho and a number of other great players. And they also boat raced Manchester City in the Champions League. Mbappe scored 2 goals, I believe. I remember watching those games and thinking Mbappe was fantastic, but I definitely noticed Bernardo Silva. Other news, we also have some World Cup qualifiers tomorrow. George and I will be talking about the UEFA ones. That's Bosnia-Herzegovina versus Italy, Sweden, Poland, Czech Republic, Denmark, Kosovo, Turkey. George, let's talk first about Bernardo Silva. Is he Premier League legend for you?
Definitely he is, because somebody who joined Manchester City and he was able to win 6 Premier League titles. That is an incredible achievement, if you ask me. And then he won the FA Cup twice. He won 2 FA Cups. He won the League Cup about, I think, 5 times. He won the Community Shield thrice. He won the Champions League, won the UEFA Super Cup, won the FIFA Club World Cup. So for such a player who has accomplished that with a club in 9 years, that is quite remarkable. So, and he's not just being a squad player, but he's one of the key players of Manchester City. When you mention the likes of Kevin De Bruyne, you must mention Bernardo Silva, because these are the guys that make things to happen at Manchester City. And one thing I love about him is the Pep Guardiola even used him in different positions, especially midfield, use him on the wings. So it's more like a utility player. So that guy, for me, he had a very, very successful time at Manchester City. And the good thing is that he crowned it winning a League Cup when they played Arsenal. And good enough, he was the captain of the team. So that's quite remarkable for Bernardo Silva. He is a legend.
He still has an outside chance at a Premier League title. It's still uphill battle, but still definitely possible. So we'll see how that works out. I agree with you. Complete Premier League legend. I don't think he can play on the wings anymore. But his engine was always fantastic. He always worked super hard. He was a player who's always fit, always available. Pep Guardiola really valued. Even if he didn't start on the wings, he did a lot of interchanges. So, like, a lot of teams will overlap their fullback with their winger. Manchester City would like to interchange pretty much anybody in the front 6. And Bernardo Silva was perfect for that. I mean, of course, he was better as a central attacking midfielder, like workhorse kind of guy. But he could absolutely switch the wings, switch up top. One of Manchester City's better teams, I think, was there was a year where Aguero was, I think he's on the roster, but he only played a couple games, and they didn't really have a striker. And I think Bernardo Silva was their top scorer, and I want to say that was 2021. I could be wrong there. But I do remember I watched the games, and Bernardo Silva filled that gap of making runs in behind from the midfield that a striker usually fills, and that team was as good as most Manchester City teams. It was awesome. I really like Bernardo Silva is a guy who you really don't like him playing against him. He definitely nudged the gray areas of the rules in a good way. I think that's a competitive nature. I think that he never took it so far, like a punching people or doing something that he regretted, would have regretted. But he's definitely a guy who's going to stand up for his teammates, a guy who, you like to play with a guy like that, a guy who's going to stand up for your decisions when referees make, calls that are in gray areas that could disadvantage your team. So I think that stuff as a player goes really far in the locker room, and he just struck me as a glue guy. So.
And it's one of those creative players we have in Manchester City. Very, very creative. And when things become very difficult, these are players that make things to happen. So that's why I will tell you he had a very, very successful spell at Manchester City. And for me, he is a legend in the Premier League, and he's a legend at Manchester City. So he
Does he
deserves
get?
all the accolades.
If you're making a Pep Guardiola all-time team, is he in there?
Yes, yes, he is.
Okay. I don't think so.
Yes.
I don't think you can take off Xavi and Iniesta and De Bruyne, and I
Uh,
just don't. So I don't.
no.
Who does Bernardo
Oh,
Silva unsit?
okay. No, if you are talking about that is all the clubs where Guardiola has coached, then
Yes,
that will be very
that's what.
tricky. Or if you are
That's
talking about Manchester City, then it's going to be among the best players Manchester City has ever had
sure.
in their history. So, but if it's Manchester City, yes, he is. But if it is all the clubs Guardiola has put on, forget it. I
Manchester
don't think you'll
City
get
has
it.
a fantastic history since being founded in 2008. George, let's move on to UEFA qualifiers. We have 4 games tomorrow: Bosnia Herzegovina, Sweden, Poland, Czechia, Denmark, Kosovo, Turkey. And George, on paper, I'd say 3 of these. There's one team that's a massive favorite, and that's Italy over Bosnia Herzegovina. That's Sweden over Poland. That's Turkey over Kosovo. Czechia, Denmark, on paper at least, is a bit even. At least that's my assessment looking at it. Do you feel like that's an accurate assessment? It's just me just eyeballing these and thinking about this.
Well, the one that I feel is even tricky is this Kosovo Turkey. That's what
Hmm.
I feel. And
Why
Sweden,
is that game
Poland.
tricky? Why are those games tricky?
Because if you look at the way these Kosovo guys have been, the way they've been playing since even the qualifier, they've been very, I think they only lost one game during the qualifiers, if my memory serves me right. So a team that only lost one game, and in this game, they are playing at home. So they have home support for this game. So that might even give them a cutting edge against Turkey. So Turkey should expect a very tough game tomorrow. It's not going to be easy for them. So I don't want to rule them out because the game they played before they got, I think, against Slovakia, so many people will think maybe they wouldn't come out of that game, but we saw what they did. They were able to survive it. They got a win against Slovakia. So a team like this, I don't think I would like to write them off because they'll be playing at
No,
home in front of
George,
their fans.
when I say Turkey is favored, I'd say they're more like I think they're more likely to win on paper. You know, I think if they play this game 100 times, Turkey wins 70 or 80 times. That does not mean Kosovo doesn't have a chance. In a 90-minute game, especially, anything can happen. I tend to think that 90-minute elimination games tend to be boring. Just because in a 90-minute game, teams want to minimize variance. I mean, just it's play conservatively, knowing that they can hold off for 90 minutes. Though I am really excited to see on a site that's not neutral in Kosovo. I think it'll be an
Yeah,
awesome atmosphere. Kosovo has never qualified for a World Cup, and their fans are going to go bonkers. Turkish fans are honestly one of the craziest fans too. And
yeah.
so I just think it'll be an awesome atmosphere in Kosovo, Turkey. All these places are going to have absolutely awesome atmospheres. George, what about Sweden, Poland? Do you feel like Sweden, on paper at least, is probably the more accomplished team? Obviously, Lewandowski is accomplished, but Sweden has several guys who are probably better than Poland's next best player.
Well, it's going to be a serious battle between Robert Lewandowski and Victor Goykares tomorrow. So that's the battle of two good strikers. Um, it's going to be tough, honestly, because
Let's say one good striker and one all-time great striker who's 37 years old and probably not as good as he was 3, 4 years, 5 years ago, but still
no,
good, still really
no,
good.
no, when it comes to making his mark, Lewandowski has paid his due. There
Right?
is no you can't compare Victor Goykares with
No.
Lewandowski. No, Lewandowski has really earned whatever accolades he gets in football. So I would like to see such a player play at the World Cup because he's a player anyone would like to watch. We even at his age, we see what he's doing. what he still does at Barcelona. So it shows the quality he has despite the age. So it's going to be a very tough game. The reason why Sweden might stand a chance in this game is that they are playing at home. Poland is playing away. So it's not going to be that easy. But if we look at it, based on the recent games both teams have been playing, uh, you want to give it to Poland because we all knew how Sweden got to this point. What brought them to these playoffs is based on the way they performed the 2024-2025 UEFA Nations League. That was what brought them here because during the World Cup qualifier, they finished bottom of the table. But one way or the other, they found themselves here
Yeah.
through that opportunity. So it's possible it can go either way, if you ask me, because I
Yeah.
don't want to be too sure. I don't want to tell you this team is going to win. Any of those two teams can win. These are the two games I'm
George,
not too sure of.
I disagree. I think Sweden's a much better team on paper. I've watched many games of these teams over the last couple of months. I've watched Poland several times over the years, and I've thought, oh, Poland has a lot of talent. They're going to do great. Poland is always boring. Is really boring, and even with Lewandowski on the right, like he'll score a
But,
couple times, but he's
but
not Barcelona's Lewandowski. He's not Bayern Lewandowski on Poland. He provides leadership. He does finish. He has scored goals, but in a World Cup, he hasn't had in a knockout.
but,
He's never had an elite performance.
but Joe, Sweden were very poor during the World Cup qualifiers. How do you explain that compared to a Poland that were better off in the World Cup qualifier? Like I told you, Sweden were fortunate to play these playoffs because of the way they finished in the UEFA Nations League. If not, they are not supposed to be playing this. So I wouldn't bank on such a team that didn't, I'm not sure they even got a single win in their group. They didn't get a single win. So such a team, I was even surprised with the result they got against Ukraine. So such a team, I can't put my money on them and tell you if it is when it comes to football pedigree, Sweden has a better pedigree than Poland. But looking at the recent games, both teams, we've seen them play. I won't tell you
I
outrightly that Sweden is going to win.
George, let's disagree. I think Sweden will win. You think Poland will win. That's a great.
No, no,
It'll,
I didn't.
George,
I didn't.
I'm putting my money where my mouth is and saying I think Sweden will win. Do you think Poland's going to win, or do you think Sweden's going to win? We got to move on to the next game.
Okay, Sweden should win.
All right, so you disagree with yourself that you
No,
both think
I'm
Sweden's
not.
going to win.
You forced
No.
me. I thought it can go either way, but it seems you are not satisfied with that. So that's the reason why I just have to choose one. So if you ask me, it can go either way.
Sweden's
The game between Kosovo and Turkey, and then the game between Sweden and Poland. They are the two games I'm not too sure of who is going to win.
One game I did not. I didn't realize Bosnia Herzegovina at home. I think will be interesting because again they on paper are probably a weaker team than Italy, but they're at home. They have a great fan base. They have some solid teams. Their best player is probably 40, but the player who has had the best historical career is 40. I don't know if he's the best player right now on this Bosnia team because he is 40 years old, but he's a striker and he only needs one chance. So this will be an interesting game. Italy has a lot in the line. They have not made a couple World Cups recently. Do you feel like there's going to be pressure on this Italian team because of their not making those World Cups, George?
I think there is serious pressure on the Italians. There's no doubt. And I think that will give them some kind of motivation because it will be very embarrassing if they don't make this World Cup because the last time they were at the World Cup was 2014. So it's not a lot of Italian fans will not be happy if that happens. So I'm thinking at the end of the day, Italy will most likely come out victorious in this game. That's what my prediction.
Okay. I know. I'll go with Italy as well for this one. And the other one, the last one, I'm going to go with Denmark over Czechia. I do feel like Czechia is this game is on paper the most even. And Czechia is at home, but I think this is if I get a chance to watch tomorrow, it will be after work, so I'll have to see this. I'll be able to know the results to watch, but I would probably watch this one just because I feel like it's going to be the most exciting.
When you look at both sides, you see that Denmark has more quality players than Czech Republic. Because if you look at the Czech team, maybe the most notable name there is Patrick Schick, who plays for Bayern Leverkusen. And then when you look at the Danish team, you see that they have lots of players that are well known, the likes of Mikkel Damsgaard. You have Eriksen is also one of the players that you should look out for into merit. We have Christian Nogard. These are very good players, high quality players. And then when you look at the Czech team, when you look at both sides, I think most likely we might have Denmark having the upper hand based on the quality of players both sides parade.
Yeah, we'll see. My money's I don't bet, but this is an expression. My money is on Denmark tomorrow. I think it'll be a cracker of a game, and it's exciting. I'm sure the Czechia fans are going to be awesome as well. George, let me close out with their standard questions. Number one, who do you guys have tomorrow in these games? We have Bosnia Herzegovina versus Italy. We have Kosovo, Turkey. We have Czechia, Denmark, and then the last game is Sweden against Poland. Let us know your thoughts. Number two, what is your favorite Bernardo Silva moment, and what is his legacy to you? And number three, is there pressure on Italy because of what the last generation of Italians have accomplished? I don't buy into that narrative actually because of they did win a Euro in that time, and would you rather have Italy's last 10 years or England's, who made several semifinals and didn't win anything? So it's interesting, but the World Cup is definitely different than Euro, but Euro is a major trophy. Let us know your thoughts. Thank you for listening.